Welcome back. We still got 2 more matches left today. It's Friday night and just 2 more weeks left here in the regular season. I'm your host, Chris Puckett at the desk. I've got the great analyst from the UK. We've got the Brenji. Then we got a good player on the desk as well, the great Reinforce, the future captain of Team Sweden, who will be cheering on his fellow Swedes in today's matchup.
Justice for Reinforce.
Johnny, we got to get into this one. We got the Dallas Fuel taking on the Florida Mayhem today, and both of these teams, we've seen them once this week. Both teams had very close matches. Florida, a very tight series against Shanghai. Meanwhile, we saw Dallas falling to the Houston Outlaws, but the Outlaws will make it tough for Dallas, but they're not out of the running necessarily quite yet here in Stage 4, Brent.
Yeah, not there. You can look at that. They're 7th position right now when it comes to the Stage 4 standings. They have a path. They have an opportunity to get into that Stage 4 standings, or that Stage 4 playoffs, I should say. But it's going to be hard. You can look at their upcoming matches. Today, they're going to be playing against Mayhem. You can argue it's a winnable game for them, but then they're up against the Dynasty and then Valiant as well. Not easy matches for them, but still definitely winnable.
Winnable.
Doable.
It's always winnable, Brennan.
Yeah, and if Dallas does want to get to that Stage 4 playoffs, it would be their first stage playoff appearance, but they need to win today. If you lose here, your chance is basically slim. So let's get into this. Let's talk about their opponent here, Florida Mayhem, because this is a team that's been right next to Dallas at the bottom of the leaderboard. They've been really struggling recently, going all the way to a Game 5 against the, I guess, a winless Shanghai Dragons. What was wrong with Florida in their last match?
Well, it seems to me like the Florida Mayhem are working on their fundamentals right now. They're struggling to synergize and have proper teamwork. It feels like they're trying to have a more aggressive approach, but the tanks haven't really adapted so far. Swoosh and Manhattan, they were always known to be very passive and defensive tanks, protecting their support line. But now we have Twick trying to maybe make a more aggressive team. An awesome guy hasn't really adapted to that style of play yet, so it's very unsynchronized. We saw that the supports of the Florida Mayhem got picked off several times against the Shanghai Dragons because their positioning hasn't been the greatest so far. So it feels like this is a team that is working on their overall fundamentals going into Season 2 to just get their stuff together, really. It feels like they just don't have a proper plan so far, and they're just trying to get the teamwork together. But still, they have great Widowmaker players.
They do, yes. I'm so glad you set me up for that one, Johnny. These Widowmaker players, man, they are on fire recently. I'm particularly impressed with Logix in particular as well, because he was a player that a lot of people didn't really consider to be, I guess, a good LAN environment performer. And by LAN, I mean, you know, playing on the big stage in a live setting. He was very much known as like an online player when he came to the
He's a bedroom hero. He would dominate online.
Hero. He was dominating online, and he never really seemed to turn up at other LAN events. But recently, that's been turning around. I mean, we saw him. They subbed him in for Game 5 or Map 5 against the Shanghai Dragons, and he popped off. The guy came in cold, and that's a big feat, right? To come in with no warm-up whatsoever and have to clutch it for your team. You know, that's you can't really undersell that at all. The guy has been performing well, and he's been improving steadily as the season's gone on. So I've been impressed with Logix as well.
Side player is the best Widow in the game if you look at some of the stats, but Logix, he got them the clutch win in Game 5. Johnny, who do you want to see more of today for Florida?
I think maybe, look, we know Saya player is a fantastic player, but I'd arguably like to see more of Logix just to see how well he is improving. Because maybe Season 2, you know, you're going to retool your roster. Maybe we'll see some other teams, you know, try to acquire new players. So I want to see how good is Logix on the stage these days. Is he maybe a player that will make Season 2? It's going to be interesting to see how Logix develops this upcoming year.
We had a major matchup on Wednesday. It was when the Dallas Fuel matched up against the Houston Outlaws in the Texas Showdown. Now, Houston came out on top of this one 3-1, but I thought this was a series that could have gone in Dallas's favor. They were crushing on their opening attack on Dorado, but left the payload behind. But that couldn't have been the only issue with the squad. What was going on with Dallas specifically in this matchup against Houston?
I mean, both me and Brennan, we predicted Dallas Fuel to win this game, so we anticipated Dallas to turn up as well. But I feel like they were stylistically countered by the Houston Outlaws. Oh man, you push here on Dorado, you win the fight, and you forget about the payload.
Oh
no.
Gotta run back.
You gotta push it back.
I will say this as well, though, Johnny. It wasn't just that they got stylistically countered. That was a big part of it for sure. But you can't really count on Linkster as well turning up the way he did in that match, because like this guy he always seems to perform one day and not perform the other, and he's like a streaky player in itself. But when he performs like he did against Dallas that day, he's unstoppable. Nobody can really put a stop to the guy. So that was really what stopped them, in my opinion, in that match. But you are completely correct in terms of the styles.
And also, we've seen Dallas pretty much only play this Reinhardt composition with the Brigitte, and I feel like when Linkster is popping off on the Widowmaker, you haven't really practiced as much Winston and D.Va necessarily to take that guy out.
Sure.
So I agree with you, Ben.
All right, well, we know what we're going to see from Dallas. Florida has shown us a number of different looks, and today we're going to find out exactly what they're going to show us in game number 1. Are you guys ready to meet our teams? Make some noise, Blizzard Arena. Match number 2 starts right now as we bring out our first squad. It's your Florida Mayhem. At the start of the Overwatch League, Florida Mayhem, everybody loved this squad's walkouts. They had so much personality. Midway through the season, it looked like they took a more serious approach, that they came in purely focused on the game, but that hasn't translated into wins.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see these guys coming out with some wacky walkouts, right? Because they, you know...
Where's the palm tree?
Yeah, you know, where's the palm tree at? Bring that out. Where's your props? You know, we've seen the Royal Wedding. We've seen Rocky Balboa coming out, you know, Snillow's punching thin air. That was incredible. Valiant's walkout, you know, Florida. You know, come out with something fresh. There's a couple of days left. You know, you're not going to be making the playoffs. So come out with some fresh walkouts.
All right, no fancy walkouts, but they are bringing a Logix onto the stage. You like this pick, Johnny?
Well, I'm looking forward to it anyway, because he has the flexibility as well. We're going into Blizzard World, and we've seen some Widowmaker from a lot of teams, actually. So maybe they're trying to rotate Logix back into the starting lineup for some more flexibility, playing some other heroes. We see on Blizzard World, it's a very diverse map. There's a lot of different points and with the level design. So we'll see a lot of different heroes from Logix maybe going into this first map.
We often talk about the support line of the Florida Mayhem in general as being one of the weaker points of this team, but Zuppe, this guy on your screens right now, is one of the players who I feel like every now and then he has his shining moments of brilliance.
Every now and then?
Every now and then he has shining moments of brilliance. So I want to see him step up a little bit more when it comes to these games in particular, like start to really shine and frag out as the Zenyatta player, because that's what they're going to need. They're going to need some extra oomph power to sort of take out these opponents that they've got coming up later.
I'd suggest keeping Sombra on the bench today for Zuppe. Keep him on that Zen if you're a Florida Mayhem fan. That is a look at the starting 6 for Florida. It's time to bring out their opponents. Please give it up for your Dallas Fuel. Number 7 out of 12 currently in stage 4, but it's a 3-way tie currently with the Fusion above them. And of course, we're going to see, can they make great strides today? Not only do they want to win against Florida, they're looking for a 4-0 to help them with a map count in the case of a tiebreaker scenario.
Yes, and given that they're playing the Soul Dynasty and Valiant coming up next, I mean, if you get these maps going, if you get a 4-0 here, they arguably have some pretty good chances of making the stage playoffs. And honestly, we went into Overwatch League and we expected the Dallas Fuel to be this great team with a lot of history, so I'd like to see them in the stage playoff maybe, to at least contest for a title.
I absolutely would as well, Johnny. I'd like to see these old legends, you know, step up to the plate. This guy, the old mood, that's what I want to see coming back.
Mr. Good Aim.
Mr. Good Aim. Finland's gift to esports. I don't know his actual... Well, you know, he was competing with the title a little bit earlier on, but of course they got to include Seagull as well. And this is excellent because, you know, Taimu and Seagull coming in, you know, they got the Hanzo, you got the Widowmaker, that double sniper presence that they can pull out every now and then if they so wish, but they have been finding a little bit more success. OG as well, and Mickey. This is probably the most jacked team when it comes to the Overwatch League in terms of their physical physique.
Mickey is ripped. We'll talk about more of that at halftime. For now, they're looking at the starting 6. Who is the one player the Mayhem need to fear the most, Johnny?
Oh, you know me. OG. It's all about the main tanks.
Always
bring out the Reinhardt. Let's go.
I'm calling Seagull today. Bring out the Hanzo once again, buddy. It was fun to watch against Houston. The match is ready. The players are set. And here to bring you the games today, we got Uber and Mr. X. I like that shirt, Uber.
Thank you very much. I'm feeling tutti fruity today, Puckett. Breaking it out. For a match, I haven't got to cast a Dallas Fuel in quite some time. You know, it's been almost like an entire stage, and they're actually looking pretty good here at the moment. Kind of, you know, can't afford too many losses if they want a shot at stage playoffs. Probably none, if I'm honest with you, and it's a tough road ahead, but let's deal with the here and now. Let's talk about your boy Seagull, the big high flyer.
Dude, since he's been in the lineup, Seagull has really made an impact for the Dallas Fuel. We can take a look at some of his numbers. He really puts up great numbers overall in so many different heroes. You can see on his Diva in Hanzo here in stage 4. Obviously, you know, in the off-tank role and then in a secondary DPS, you can see what he could do.
Okay, in stage 4, this is a team that's 4-3, so hasn't won every game, and he's, I mean, is he the best diva in the league right now?
I mean, it's kind of hard to say because you don't really think of him as like a diva or a flex tank, right? But I mean, look at some of the numbers. It's kind of hard to dispute. He's definitely up there. It's such a different vibe with the Dallas Fuel lineup as well. You know, when they used to come in here and they're losing a bunch of games, everybody's just kind of like looking down.
I mean, Mickey almost didn't make it out on stage because he's jumping up behind the lights. He's trying to get our attention. What he's talking about.
And then I take my headset off to hear what he's saying, and then he just runs away. And then
because he got dragged out by the scruff of his neck to actually play the game.
I'm like, Tasman, what do you say? He's like, who knows?
Who knows, indeed. So, Florida Mayhem, of course, the one win this stage was against the Shanghai Dragons, and that was quite the match yesterday, Matt. It came pretty close, and there was a possibility they would have lost it. They looked very relieved at that win. Again, for them, they just need to try and get wins and shore themselves up. They're not in the playoffs for the season or the stage, so that's definitely it. The Dallas Fuel are also out of season playoff contention, but the stage playoffs is still a distinct possibility.
It's actually quite funny. The Florida-Shanghai match for both teams, like, almost probably felt like a final for them. Like, Florida not trying to be the one team that loses to Shanghai, Shanghai trying to get that one win against Florida. You saw both teams like so emotionally drained after that match.
Florida also trying to prevent another winless, or trying to prevent a winless stage. They haven't had one yet. Yeah. That's not how you want to end the Overwatch League. I think they're probably even more worried about that, regardless of their opponent.
You don't want to end it at a 1-9 either.
Ah, well, yeah. Well, let's see if they can change it here.
Yeah, not exactly great.
The Dallas Fuel been looking much better as of late. OG and Mickey just going ham. Painting the town red, and Blizzard World is where it all kicks off, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get the Florida Mayhem out of the gates, and let's see if the red and yellow get flame grilled by the burn blue. Let's kick this off.
So Dallas on defense is going to have Taimu play Pharah. Usually Seagull is the Pharah player for this team. Very good Pharah. But you want Seagull on Diva. We showed you some of his great stats. They probably expected this composition to come through with the triple tank, triple support lineup. So the Pharah can get down a ton of damage from the sky.
That's it. Florida have been watching plenty of those 303 compositions play out in non-Overwatch League competitions recently, and it's been pretty good. It's been pretty effective in general. But Pharah kind of does have a good impact against this comp, though.
Pharah does have a good impact against this comp, and this comp is something you can run if you don't have a lot of coordination, right? It's tanks, AoE healers. There's not a lot to kind of coordinate here in this type of composition.
I mean, this is chaos. It's a roiling mass of bodies. Taimu exsanguinated by Zupe, giving him the big slurp. And that Bionic Grass getting a little bit of damage, the only thing that could really affect the Pharah. Now Graviton Surge, all of Dallas Fuel caught up inside of it. Zupe just trying to keep his team mostly healed. He did throw in an offensive orb. He's forced to fade out of the Earth Shatter. Big one from OG, but from behind, it's Manitin. Self-destruct, Carry Hook is down. Lacking the mercy for the Dallas Fuel here. It's going to be tough to stand up against such a durable enemy line.
Yeah, OG used the Earth Shatter. He connected with a few, but no follow-up there. Tvik will use the rally to keep everybody topped up on the point. The hard part is when you lose Taimu at the beginning to Zupe, then you don't have that big rocket barrage, you don't have a lot of that damage coming down. It's hard to poke those tanks off the point.
Dallas knew that Florida will be playing this composition map.
Yes.
There's no reason for you to pick a defensive Pharah on this map unless you know they're going to be playing ground-borne tanks.
Especially because Widowmaker is so prevalent on
and you're just going to get pounded by it.
Yeah.
So Dallas and Florida may actually be scrim partners at the moment as well, because we haven't seen a ton of this composition from Florida. We actually saw more of it from Shanghai in their match yesterday. Regardless, that's the barrage. You hear it, but no real manifestation of the damage there. Yeah. But OG just hits a crazy charge. You can see where Zevasai actually fell, and Dallas Fuel now will try and hold this choke for a bit.
Another rally here from Mickey as Taimu uses the barrage. I imagine he will switch, unless, with Logic's playing Zarya, maybe you don't really feel like Tvik is that much of a threat playing Widowmaker, as Logix has to be careful, can't get this eaten up. Now that the Diva mech's up in the sky, you're going to use it.
Oh, no!
Oh.
Taken down! The self-destruct from Seagull ends Logix. He didn't have the chance to use his own shield, Matt. He wasn't aware that he'd actually get blown up. He didn't check his 6. And that went real wrong for the Florida Mayhem there. On the upside, however, they do have a couple more ultimates, especially awesome guys. Earth Shatter. OG has one himself, though, and his one on the point was actually quite big. Dallas, probably not too upset about that. I mean, Uncut used Transcendence when he got grabbed, yes?
Yes, yeah, he was, it's a second Transcendence. He uses it when he gets caught in the grab. I like this switch where Tvik goes and plays Brigitte, hands the Widowmaker over to Logic, says that's going to be an Earth Shatter from OG. Another one comes through from Awesome Guys. He just connects with Mickey.
He actually might have saved the the life of his teammates, should I say. Timmy was knocked down. But we saw the charge straight through from OG, and it knocked the Mayhem out of the way. Good response there. OG had the shield up. It's not often you see Reinhardt's Earth Shatter then put their shield up straight away. He must have known that Awesome Guy was hoping to do the same thing. And Florida are changing composition so much here.
Dallas will switch Taimu over to Widowmaker as well. What I like about the defensive setup here for the Fuel is you're playing so close and you're winning a lot of these fights. One, you're forcing switches from Florida so they can't get any ults. And then when they do get ults, they have to use them just to get through the gate, as Mickey using the shield. I mean, that's a valid option, right? A lot of people use the emotes to kind of look around corners at times,
gives you
right?
that third-person perspective that you otherwise wouldn't have. Obviously, it gives you a different viewing angle, and you can argue about sort of what that does and the advantage it gives you, but that's a lovely self-destruct in the back from Seagull. That must have gone over the top, because Zupe definitely wasn't ready for it. Awesome guy, flame struck by OG. Well, Maniton's just going to be mace struck now. I think he's just slapping him about. He would have liked to have gotten the kill there, but he's not really too upset about forcing him back. It does give some ultimate percentage to Zebasai with the healing. You see Maniton being low, but hey, not complaining.
And we watch Mickey just pay attention to when he goes with the shield bash. Notice that awesome guy had a bubble on him, and then once the bubble wears off, then goes with the shield mass. OG doesn't connect with a shatter there. They are able to get Maniton though, and that's going to force Harry Hook to use his Valkyrie, try and push on through here. They want to end up taking out the remaining members here of the Florida Mayhem.
It's funny, we've heard Johnny make his comments about OG and quite often, you know, when he wants to look at Reinhardt play. And in the past, Johnny sort of mentioned that OG looks like he's been quite aggressive doing his crazy plays, right? But OG has seemed to be very disciplined in this game, Matt. Keeping that shield up. If the Earth Shadow doesn't work, he doesn't try and charge or make up for lost ground. And Florida are getting dumpstered right now. This is incredible hold here from the Dallas Fuel. This is very uncommon to see this happen here.
And look, with a minute 20 seconds left, that's going to be an infra sight from Taimu, but the Florida Mayhem may need to use Grab Dragon just to get through this initial choke. Maybe a support ult as well. Logix loses out on the Widowmaker battle again. So you probably are going to have Seagull try and like hide around the corner here, fly right into Maniton's sights when the grab comes down. That's going to be a big grab. It's going to catch Mickey when he's using the rally.
Transcendence was a little bit late for Unco. He couldn't quite get back to his team in time, but they only lost one, then they got to resurrect, so they're down to 5 players, which is something you can recover from. However, the Earth Shatter from Awesome Guy definitely connects. Somehow OG's got Zupe in that one, the Transcendence. Now, that could have had more of an impact, but Seagull comes in with a self-destruct and finds 2. He has to get out. And the fight is definitely won by the Mayhem, but they used everything they had.
It's so costly. So they will make it past the choke here. OG has a shatter. You're going to have Harry Hook. Look at the advantage in terms of Valkyrie. There's 70 all the way to 9 as Logix has not won many battles here against Taimu and Widowmaker. Now you'll see the Dallas Fuel get aggressive onto the card.
Nice by Maniton, quickly deploying the barrier just to protect Zupe, but he goes very low in the process to the poke damage. Awesome Guy wasn't in a position where he could protect his whole team effectively, because you can see where OG's looking. This is quite a wide area. You need to clump very much together behind that shield, but that's a lovely fire strike from Awesome Guy.
Oh, and it sounded like for a second there he may have went for the shatter, but it doesn't actually result in the loss of the shatter.
Do you shatter there?
No, it sounded like he was trying to.
Taimu's kicking off though, man. 5 final blows. Zupe was his latest victim. Here's the Graviton Surge. Now, Seagull didn't need that one. That was so risky from Maniton to actually fire it directly at a Diva. He must have timed, I guess, the defense matrix for a shooter. Wasn't available at the big Earth Shatter. OGE! Okay! That is massive. Big knockdown there in Zupe. Oh, gee, that's the saddest Transcendence I ever did see. Great way to end the match there, or the map, should I say, or the half. OGE. OG.
He's making a big impact. It's interesting. We haven't really talked a lot about like the scouting of contenders players and players playing all over the world by these Overwatch League teams, but it's pretty important. I mean, you look. We take a look at an OG replay here from the first half, but OG and Awesome Guy end up getting picked up around the same time. I mean, they come into effective play after OG's suspension about the same time. As that one goes right underneath the card there. Connects to 3, but. How much more of an impact has OG made on the Dallas Fuel than Awesome Guy, let's say, for the Florida Mayhem? I think you can also make an argument that there's obviously more talent on the Dallas Fuel as a whole around OG than I know around Awesome Guy on the Mayhem, but still, I feel like OG's made a big impact.
Logix, or was it Tvik playing the Widowmaker? Both.
Tvik
both tried it.
Tvik played it for a little bit when Logix was playing Zarya and had the Grav, and then they immediately switched, so Tvik could play Brigitte.
Neither worked very well. Neither player, nor Logix, nor Tvik on the Widowmaker were actually able to do much to Taimu, who was looking very comfortable.
When Taimu's confidence is high, He's one of the best players to watch in the world. The things that he could do on Widowmaker and with a McCree, right? I remember like back when I was like first starting to get Overwatch, he's like one of the first names like I kind of heard of, and you're watching all these clips like Hasher tweeting out these clips of Taibu and like Dorado hitting these insane shots, and that's pretty epic.
Logic's obviously can see around the corner. Well, I thought he might be able to. I mean, he could try and scout out a composition. That's pretty far forward to be sort of positioned, but you're Tracy, you can get away. I was thinking you might try and see what the rollout was looking like.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
So let's see what Dallas decides to run. So you can't put it past Seagull to pick Bastion.
This is a really interesting setup, man. Look how forward and how spread the Mayhem are with this particular setup. We'll try and get a look at it a few in just a moment, but they are not playing around the choke all that heavily.
I mean, do you look at this and you're like, okay, maybe they don't feel exactly confident in the Junkrat Orisa combination up on the high ground? We mentioned the Widowmaker battle didn't really go their way at all. You just kind of go away from that completely. The Fuel just walk right in the door. That's way too easy. You can't be able to take out the Brigade that fast.
Oh, he's down. Harry found him with the boot. This is such a dangerous composition to play against a Widowmaker. You have no static shielding. No real protection for your team outside of a Winston bubble that's on a cooldown.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Well, and when the Brigitte dies at the beginning, you lose obviously the Inspire up time, which can heal everybody around it. You also lose the ability to stun OG. So he just kind of walks right on through to Awesome Guy, pushes him back. Didn't have a diving partner for Logix. Logix in the back by himself. Very fast time there to take point A by the Dallas Fuel.
I don't know what goes into crafting that kind of defensive composition. I'm very curious about it. Because if it's player preference or player hero pool at this stage, at this point in stage 4, that's not really acceptable. If there is a generally agreed way of playing that defensive setup, you probably should go with it. There has to be an idea there. I'll have to ask them after what they're looking for, but obviously it didn't work. Shadow from OG, he got himself 2. Zebasai and Tvik were both knocked out. In fact, he got 3. Tvik falling into the shield bastion, the Florida Mayhem. I mean, how can you hold your ground with this composition, man? Yeah, your main tank is diving.
And when you send an Awesome Guy in with Logix in that particular position, OG just OG just uses the Shatter. He knocks down to Vic, who's a large portion of the damage. You're able to take out Zupe and Zebo as well. And the guys for the Fuel are going to spawn so close, they just come right back. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, as soon as Awesome Guy jumps up, OG just shatters all of Florida. Yeah. If he gets 2, if he gets even 1, if he gets a backliner with that Shatter, it's over. Again, jumps in, knocked away by Mickey. You see the hook shot. They're just going to chase this one up here. Also, Guy completely out of position with 0 follow-up. That's got to be a communication issue there because no one was with him. Timer gets to fix Riptire before it drops in. That could have been nasty for the Fuel, but they just, well, buckle up. This is about to get ugly for the Mayhem. Mickey finds Tvik there. Shield Maiden's battling it out. It just doesn't matter though. The rest of the Mayhem just got...
This one hasn't been close on the Dallas Fuel's offense as Seagull will have a self-destruct. Great to use in this portion of the map. It's so wide open.
Okay, OG just
May
shatters.
not even need it.
OG just shatters as soon as he gets a chance. There it is, gets himself 2. Zebasai's knocked to the ground. Awesome Guy just picking himself up now. He does have a Primal Rage, but he pretty much is constrained to the payload. Maniton gets a resuit. The self-destruct didn't quite find anything. Perhaps he was just trying to refresh the mech at this point. Awesome Guy's about to time out of Primal Rage. He gets stunned immediately. He's very low. He has to jump out. Maniton's desuited as well. Tvik's just standing there with a cheeky grin, trying to make ends meet as Junkrat. And Maniton trying to break line of sight. This is not looking good. This is done, surely.
Yeah, I mean, you have 3 supports here, plus Seagull for the Dallas Fuel. Logix switches over to the Roadhog. He gets booped off of the payload. That is it. The Dallas Fuel will take map number 1. We talked about how Seagull so strong on, we highlighted the Hanzo and D.Va. 23 limbs, 11 final blows, only 1 death over the course of the match.
Dallas Fuel knew exactly how to play. They played their way, and the Florida Mayhem had an interesting composition. It didn't look good. I'm going to put it to you very bluntly. But map 2 and a chance for redemption for Florida is around the corner. We'll see you for that in just a moment.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel. Intel Core i7 powers the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
오버워치 리그에 오기 전에 불과 한 1년 전쯤에 콤박스라는 팀에서 활동을 했었는데 그 달라스펠 쪽에서 연락이 와서 테스트 형식을 가진 다음에 이렇게 좋게 기회가 돼서 오게 되었습니다.
The Fuel struggling to string these wins together.
We know OGE is a player they're looking forward to bringing on.
여러 가지 사건들로 인해서 저의 지금 달라스 팀에 오고 싶지 않거나 그런 것은 없고 그냥
They have a big new addition.
OGE is his name, and he will be on stage today.
이제 안 좋은 팀을 좋은 팀으로 바꾸는 그런 것을 원해가지고 이렇게 선택하게 됐어요.
I'm already excited. It just started. OGE's just dominating. 4 final blows for this man.
Nice.
Okay, Kim, listen. I think next fight we use his speed, me and Uncle use it, okay?
Okay, we have to stay together.
형 조심해. 형 터지는 거 조심해.
Maybe we can push right together.
지금 상황은 이제 저희 팀이 지금 프랑스 선수 2명, 태국 선수 1명. 일단은 모든 것을 영어로 최대한 쓰려고 노력하고 있고 지금 현재
Better space from OGE. Get back in your seat, Mickey. OGE's coming to win.
He's gonna be slapping people around all day.
리더라는 것은 일단 어떻게 우리가 싸우고 우리가
And OGE running wild here will take down yet another.
뭐 우리 팀이 다운돼 있거나 이제 우리 팀이 체크 못하는 것들을 최대한 신경을 써가면서 제가 와서 이제 그 역할을 맡으면서
OGE has taken matters into his own tribal hands.
일단 최대한 성장을 해서 마무리를 잘 하면서 이제 저희 팀이 좀 부활했으면 하는 그런 목표를 가지고 있습니다.
Well, OG, instant impact player for the Dallas Fuel, man. When he came in here, we weren't sure how it would all settle, but that was a fantastic performance from him. That being said, Florida are playing
Come on, Florida.
into Reinhardt and Prakita.
Yeah, it's tough.
Their Winston is diving over the Reinhardt, and the rest of the team is getting shattered a lot. So I have a lot of questions, perhaps some concern about the team composition for the Mayhem. They definitely mixed it up a couple of times, Matt. But what is your read on this one? Because I can't be the only one.
You're sending your Tracer and your Winston in to go try and know whether it's Harasses and Yada or the Widowmaker. That's sending 2 players in, right? You're giving up basically 3 of your own to the Shatter. Manatin's trying to fly around, protect anybody, so you're giving up like 4 members of your team to maybe get 1 or 2 of the other team. I mean, at that point, like, Harry doesn't even need to really heal OG as he goes in with Seagull because they've already shattered everybody, right? So he can just pocket Taimu or Unko in the back, and then Mickey can provide the healing for the front line. So it's difficult to win with that type of setup that Florida's doing.
And I wonder if this has been a historical thing. I actually have to go back and check some of the previous Horizon matches because, you know, we didn't see Orisa Junkrat at all. It wasn't a thing that the Mayhem wanted to do. So here's the second test. Another map on which Orisa and Junkrat is generally expected to be the done thing here. If you don't play this, and this could spiral out of control rather quickly. If this is not something that's available to you as a team at this stage in Stage 4, you are going to be in the bin.
They're capable, right? We've seen Logix play Widow, very nice level.
Yep.
We've seen
nice
Tavik.
level.
Yeah, we've seen Tavik. We can't say everybody's great, right?
Oh no, like, I appreciate
we can't
that.
say
is nice like better than good, or is
I mean,
like
look, we've seen Tavik play a decent Junkrat. We saw him come up with a big tire on this map the other day. Remember, first point ends up keeping them alive. So like, we know they're capable. They have that hero selection. It just must be a composition they just don't feel confident on running. The issue is if you run something on offense like this with what they at least have planned now, right? With the Zarya, the Reinhardt, the D.Va.
Get so many rip tires.
Yeah. So Seagull will get a ton of rip tires. That's not even really what I'm worried about, to be honest. It's a composition that is good, right? But like I mentioned, remember when the Dragons were playing on Hollywood a few stages back and they were able to make it work with a quad tank lineup? Yeah. It's like you're able to win with it, but you're not really using a lot of teamwork and coordination to make that happen. It's pretty much have the tanks group up and go in. So it's like, when you practice this, you kind of lose any type of coordination or anything you have with a lot of other comps, right? Because you like don't practice some of those other timings that you really need.
Well, I mean, the Mayhem are on the point. They haven't got a tick yet. Dallas gave them a little bit of rope here while Timer was sort of tearing strips off of them with a Widowmaker. Now they give up that tick there. That's probably not intended, but again, as long as they can sort of hold the point, they're fine. Now, Florida are doing okay, but Seagull's set up in a position now where he can't really be shot at and he can sort of do a lot of his damage. Manatin opts into the 1v1 and he's going to win that one out against Timer, which is good. That's a good way to set up for later, but do they just run in and res Timer? I think they do.
They're going to try.
Oh, his corpse is...
Yeah, but you're not worried about a ton of burst damage going down. I mean, who's going to burst him down? Trying to go in and res.
How are Florida going to punish this with CC? They're not going to put Tivic around the corner. He's going to get halted out into the open. So
or he'll just get blown up by the Junkrat. So you can't even challenge that. So they do get the time and res for free. Be Mickey with a rally here. Everybody.
That is a lot of yellow. Oh, Logix. He needs some quick healing here. Fortunately, he's got Zupe there. So there's a lot of healing valuable. And a quick repair pack from Tivic will be the band-aid they need.
We've seen this a lot too. If they try and coalesce and go into the point, you lose the fade ability from Moira, so you can't dodge it. They're not even going to get that chance, so the Riptire will take out Awesome Guy.
And what I guess confuses me a little bit is that Florida, for this strategy to work, they have to have all 6 people get to the point unscathed because they don't have Resurrect available, right? And even if they did, it would be quite risky to stand in place to shield a Mercy whilst you're taking shots from Seagull or just taking shots from Taimu. So you have to be pretty much spot on here and not get picked off. Like, look at that. The remote mine puts Tivic on the high ground now. There's no way he gets down without getting shot.
He will. It's just going to take a lot of time. Yeah, it's going to take some time.
Well, he gets there. Here's the rally, and that's the Coalescence. All right, they're using a lot here. Both support or 2 support ultimates being used. Seagull's hoping for a Riptide pretty soon, and he's going to be damn close. Tries to throw in a couple of those remote mines to get the extra damage, but it's actually OG to go down first. Again, a resurrect is possible from Harry Hook, and into the backside, Riptide. Vic is down, he can't resurrect that one. Mickey's a little bit out of position, and there it is. Graviton combined with the self-destruct. And Florida come up with the goods here. And honestly, that's not bad, considering the outlook didn't look great, Matt. They put together a solid team fight with the resources at their disposal.
Yes, no, it didn't look very good for a long time for Florida, but a very nice self-destruct from Manton. He actually throws it in, then the grab comes down from Logix to make sure nobody can get away from that Diva ultimate. As Harry Hook switches over to Ana here. So we've seen Ana used against this type of composition. I believe we saw Costa switch to it, use those big biotic grenades, deny a lot of healing.
Manhattan is trying to push in and hunt down Taimu when that opens the door to Vic. Gets rid of Mickey as he was trying to harass Manhattan. Earthshatter from Awesome Guy. Seagull knocked out of his suit here. The Coalescence from Zupe definitely helping. Now Taimu is in a position where Manhattan spots him immediately as he comes out. So there's not really much he can do. However, OG, deep. Gets rid of Tvik. Good biotic grenade there from Harry Hook just to keep them topped up, and they might actually be able to win this fight out. Awesome Guy comes in with a charge, but Mickey's being healed from all angles. And the Fuel hold on. It looked very good for the Mayhem, though, for quite some time, but I have to say, clutch bio-nade from Harry.
Yeah, now OG goes to challenge high ground. We can take a look at this is from the first point. There's the grab. There's the self-destruct.
Oh, where was Taimu?
OG actually went up to the high ground there, Mitch, and he actually pushed out Tvik, which was the right play. You give up that one tick, because if you let Tvik just get set up on the high ground and just start pinning people out of the spawn, OG's not going to be able to take down the tanks alone, so goes up, gets rid of the Widowmaker, make sure your supports are alive, and then work your way back to the point and give up a tick.
And both Brigittes staring each other down with their respective mercies behind, but OGE has a Primal Rage, and this is the last place you want to encounter an enraged Winston. However, OGE doesn't want to chase up that potential kill on Tvik. I guess he would have been a little bit too deep for his liking.
They use a nano onto him as well.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of buys time. I would have thought maybe you could try and capitalize more on the damage mitigation. Logix, he didn't expect the peak here, but Taimu is not the predictable kind of player. Perhaps prone to flights of fancy, but also to playmaking ability.
And on the defense, you know, you may look at that play and you're like, oh, that is a crazy position to take. But on the defense, if you can get that first pick and then the rest of your team just puts some pressure on the front side, right, and pushes them back and denies the resurrection, even if Taimu dies there, it's still a winning fight for the Fuel.
Even if you don't deny the resurrection on Logix there, all of Florida have to pull out. Yeah. Otherwise, they play without their mercy. And you know what? Taimu's thinking as if he was Logix there. Does Logix expect me to peek this again? Let's try and do exactly the opposite of what he expects. Keep your friends close, keep your enemies even closer.
It's tilting to play a Widowmaker like that, where you're, I mean, we've all been there at home, right? Where you're like yelling at the monitor, like, why would you peek that again?
It's so audacious,
it doesn't make any sense, yeah.
I love it. Not when I'm playing against it, of course, but Manhattan, gonna survive there. Actually, he has a lot of air control. You notice that he sort of is able to strafe to the left while airborne, which is maybe not, you know, what you would expect. So Taimu can't predict his falling trajectory as easy. Taimu just relocates here. He knows that Manhattan's going to be looking for him, but if he gets the pick in the meantime, it'll definitely be worth it. Zabasai has switched towards Mercy, so resurrection is possible, but not with OG causing so much. He's riling up the natives, Matt, rattling the cage. Another quick Primal Rage from him, and just the one pick is enough to win them the fight because the Mercy was occupied.
Yeah, and we saw from Taimu's POV, missing a ton of shots, but that one on Zupe is huge. Has the Transcendence. OG already using Primal Rage in that area, not able to go and try and res him. I love how aggressive you're playing with this Widow right now.
Just what I needed.
Too many teams on the defensive end, they sit all the way back. Not saying you should play this aggressive all the time, but they kind of sit all the way back, and there's like 1 to 3 spots you kind of be. All it takes is one pick from the Widowmaker on offense, and your defense falls apart.
Now to the high ground Transcendence here. That's going to buffer Florida a little bit now as they do trade quite aggressively early in the fight and still lose Logics as a result. OG goes over the top, gets into the backline. He's gotten himself 2 in this fight. His Winston is everywhere at once, and if you're Mayhem, he's nowhere. They can't find him.
I mean, so Logix gets picked early there. You don't even know, that's not even really that much of his fault, to be honest. Everybody else just darts to the point, and they leave him up on the high ground alone. And then all Dallas does is they realize this. They just put one person on the point to contest it, and then they just send OG up to push the Widow all the way back. He has no healing. All the healers actually go in for Florida. He has no healing. He has no tank to come and peel and try and like boop him out of the way and try and put some damage on OG. He's able to just get these kills at free will.
OG there peeking the right side. Does see both tanks come in. So Dallas know this is where the main thrust comes from the Mayhem. OG just plays up, looking at the high ground. He's looking for Logics. He'd love to sneak in the backside. 3 seconds, he would have a jump, and he'd probably go straight for the Widow here. Again, if he jumps and then Logics uses his grappling hook, it's not really worthwhile, so he's just going to wait for the best chance. If he sees Logics use a grappling hook, he will jump. So we'll see if that happens about now. OG being buffered around by the rest of the tanks. But look at this, Florida are forced to peel back, and Unco's going absolutely ham because Florida's tanks are trying to peel for their backline, and Unco has all the room in the world.
And Florida has all their support ults. You don't even want to invest into that fight when Tvik dies early, so now you have a rally. Logix is going to switch away from Widowmaker. We'll play Doomfist here towards the later part of the game.
I think he's just had enough of dealing with these tanks. He wants to punish this aggression from OG. And if OG's not ready for it, it could end up being his downfall. We'll see if he can scout this out early or how he'll respond to it. Logix trying to stay out of line of sight early and get into the backline. Now he does see a glimpse of a Widowmaker rocket punch. Doesn't really get him too much, but he's not really being focused down currently on the point. He might have a chance to make use of this later. OG jumps over the top here, trying to force out Zupe, who does have the Transcendence. If you can try and force that ultimate out, yeah, he gets it here. So Zupe has to now move forward. Seagull's in the back corner getting healed up at the moment. Harry Hook's doing a lot of work, and Unco gets his own Transcendence, which will last a little bit longer, and that's the window they need. Zupe now, well, he's finished healing the rest of his team, and that's a big stun towards Logix. It would have been a kill if Mickey hadn't interrupted him there. Logix now starting to run out of options. He doesn't get Unco into the wall. Now it's going to have to go for the Meteor Strike, but who's he connect with? Taimu, he's not very fast. McCreed lacks mobility, so he's very susceptible to that ultimate. But Logix has to wait and get healed up. Maniton's stalling for time, so Logix has to do this on his own. That's super brutal. He's going to move on to the point, and Doomfist doesn't want to be out in the open like that. It just doesn't work. And the Florida Mayhem fail to take point B here. Get about 60%, but you can see that Doomfist pick didn't end up being that effective, man.
Yeah, they attempt to make something out of the final moments there, but still not a great offense from the Florida Mayhem attacking point B. But they had a few windows of opportunity there, Mitch, where they had some decent ultimate advantage. I want to say, before this this Transcendence happens, we'll see it from Unco's perspective, picking up all these kills. Harry Hook did a phenomenal job using some of his Valkyrie towards the end to pocket Unco. He's actually getting pushed out by Awesome Guy and Maniton in the back by the spawn to keep him alive. And then he uses that Transcendence and pushes all the way up from the back by the spawn, pretty much to the point that we jumped on with him here.
If you're the Mayhem, your nerves are getting frayed quite a bit because it seems as if your tanks can't really be initiating, even on the attacking side, because Dallas seem to be first at starting the fight each time. I
think the thing with the Mayhem is, like, who are they trying to enable on this team that can lead them to success, right? Like, you see a lot of other teams, like, whether it's Philadelphia, right? You just kind of like pocket carping, you play around him. You know, the Dallas Fuel, it seems like they play around like Mickey's Brigitte and Seagull's Diva, and they really enable those two players to play at a high level. Taimu can kind of handle his own on the Widowmaker. It's like, what is the game plan here from Florida? Like, who are you trying? Like, because it doesn't seem like it's Logix, because you're letting the tanks just jump onto him as Widowmaker with no support. So what is the goal?
Unco was incredible that round.
Yeah.
8 final blows, more than anyone else on the entire Dallas Fuel. About 60% of the total final blows of the Florida Mayhem is what he got in that round. Like, that was incredible.
There's not many trades you hear about in pro sports, as you see Logix just jumping around the outside. You hear about at pro sports or any sports that are like an even trade for both teams. I mean, you look back at the Unco for Custa deal. You know, everyone's like freaking out, like, oh, Custa goes. Custa, a tremendous player, has helped the Valiant out a ton. Unco has helped out the Dallas Fuel a ton as well.
Incredibly good so far. And the Florida Mayhem now, they're going to be on their toes and they're going to have to stay on them. Dallas Fuel just need to essentially finish the map, and not even that. Seagull on Genji. We say yes to that in my household, Matt.
This is the Dallas Fuel version of a dive comp, because you don't really have a Tracer player.
That's right.
Right,
I mean,
so...
Sombra, it can be argued there are similarities there. Logic's all in deep trouble getting slapped around there, down to 22 health, and that was Taimu. Now, they don't quite know where Taimu is. He's off to the right-hand side of Logic's. I think Unco's the main target right now, but they're going to get dived on here, and this is where the pincer comes in. Dallas found some aggression. The dive works out for them quite well. Logic's is spending the whole fight trying to take down someone who's not even really participating. Unco is just offering healing and getting some damage in from the side. Florida just got absolutely trounced.
And Seagull's play, even now on Genji, still top-notch. I mean, the first map died once. So far through this map has only died twice. It was just a matter of time before he got a ton of playing time in this lineup. I think the fans wanted it, right? Like everyone's like, oh, where's Seagull?
I'm sure the investors wanted it.
It's like it's just a matter of time, and he's played great since he's come in. Noah, in every different role we talk how versatility is so important in the Overwatch League. There's not many players who can play DPS and off tank at a high level, right?
It's more important now than it ever has been when you need to change comps so many times within the space of one map, let alone across multiple maps.
Now we see Soldier 76 come out, as the Mayhem are one of the teams that play Soldier 76 more than the rest. It's an interesting swap up here, as I think Time is going to hit a big EMP. Everybody just sitting here in the corner.
Oh no! Light a candle, because that's all you've got. That's pretty brutal. Timey just drops in there. Again, the follow-up, decent. I mean, despite there not being any big kills so far, you can see that they've been able to make a lot of progress onto the point. Timey avoids the self-destruct there. I'm sure if it was from the translocation or just from being out of line of sight from it there. There's more work to be done here by the Dallas Fuel, though. The follow-up definitely needed to be a little bit stronger. They've got double Transcendence over the point. Madison was just hacked briefly there for a moment, but with the Transcendence in play, Dallas couldn't get the damage across.
Yeah, Taimu keeps getting off these hacks, though, on the tanks of the Florida Mayhem. Awesome guy, though, will take out Harry Hook. OG will fall as well. This will be a fight that ultimately we then go to the Florida Mayhem. Taimu, though, able to build up basically another EMP here.
Matt, we saw Logic's play a lot of Soldier 76 sort of back on Movistar Riders, for example. Why here? Why do you take it on that point? Is it just for the running back to the point?
It's consistent damage. Maybe it's the self-healing over in the back, because the Tactical Visor, not a great ultimate with Diva in the game, and then now with Reinhardt, right, a ton of shielding. It's like, on the LAN client, we see a lot more of the burst DPS get play, the Widowmakers, the McCrees. It's going to be Logix who switches to Widowmaker, not a lot of sight lines there. Zimmo trying to pocket him, gets taken out going into the Sean.
That is so brutal. Not one kill for Florida Mayhem in this particular fight. Dallas Fuel just unanswered kills left, right, and center. Logic's now trying to stay, alive. Oh no, Vic can't use Ice Block. He was stunned up. Mickey, great timing there. When you can't stall as May, you're definitely feeling pretty darn bad. Zebasai, oh man, you're not going to survive that. He knew it too. He just had no other choice. Logic's now in. Maniton is there, stunned immediately off the point. Map 2 ending in much the same way as Map 1. Dallas Fuel, light it up.
During that game, interesting stat. Zebasai doesn't get it. One resurrection as Mercy. Really interesting. A lot of nice dives coming in from the Dallas Fuel, breaking up those resurrections that could have happened from the Florida Mayhem. Mercy's such an important hero in the meta.
Again, he did play a bit of Lucio earlier on, if I'm not mistaken, as well, but still tough for the Florida Mayhem going into halftime, 0-2 down. There's much to be discussed for them, and of course with our desk. We'll catch them in just a second.
Are you ready?
Today, you're in for a real treat.
There's no stopping them. That is it. There we go. What a wild match.
Dallas Fuel is looking to stay in the hunt for a Stage 4 playoff spot, and after starting things off with a big win on Blizzard World, they follow up with a victory on Horizon and are now up 2-0 over the Mayhem at the break. Welcome back, everybody. It is our halftime show. It's Puckett alongside with Bren and Reinforced once again, and this series quite speedy. I thought our last games were pretty quick. Today, the Dallas Fuel taking it to the Florida Mayhem.
But we still see a lot of good Earth Shatters. I
Absolutely
can't get over these highlights, Puckett. I can't get over it. Fearless on Hanamura, and now we got OG. I mean, I love it.
Do you watch the other 10 players in the game, or just the two main tanks?
No.
I like it. I like it. Brent, let's walk through some of the early action we've seen. It started on Blizzard World. We knew that snipers were going to be key. What played out?
A clear disconnect for me for the Florida Mayhem. That's what I saw, at least. Dallas Fuel, you know what they're going to be running when they're coming into this. Taimu on Pharah may be a bit unexpected. However, you know they're going to be revolving around the Brigitte predominantly, especially with OG on the Reinhardt. You kind of have an expectation of what they're going to be running, but they just seem to really just... I don't want to say outclass because it might be a bit unfair, but I'm going to say it anyway. They kind of outclassed them in almost every single regard.
I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it.
There it is again.
Johnny, I felt like you were about to follow up more from that, but no, you just like seeing good Earth Shatters.
There's another one, Johnny. Look at this one.
What I did want to say, though, is like, I think that the Dallas Fuel came into this game prepared, because obviously when you spot out the Florida Mayhem, they're running the triple tank, triple support, Taimu swaps to the Pharah. And it's so smart play, because Florida Mayhem has nothing to deal with the aerial threat, and so Taimu immediately switches. We don't know Taimu for being a Pharah player, but still, he gets the job done, because there's no threat.
Absolutely, and a big part of why Dallas are playing so much better these days as they have been in the past is because they seem to have a clear grasp on their ultimate economy, the efficiency in which way they use the ultimates a lot of the senses. Because this is something that they struggled with in the past, and we were kind of wondering, you know, how has this happened? You know, because this team was full of veterans who were more than capable of understanding, I guess, the general game plan coming into these matches. But now Dallas have obtained it again, and they seem to be using these ultimates in a much better way around, playing around Taimu on, Mickey on Brigitte. Again, we just have to hammer that 1 point home, as that is one of the key reasons why we're seeing now a much stronger Dallas Fuel, because they found a role for Mickey where he can really excel, you can build around him, and the rest of the team just plays better as a result.
I think you got to give big props to Seagull as well. His flexibility, incredible diva bombs on your first map. Then you saw what he could do on Genji as we went over to Horizon.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
Yeah,
Johnny,
love it.
we saw so many great tank plays, and ahead of the game, you said you want to see the dive from Dallas Fuel. You want to see the Diva. You want to see the Winston. How about the Reinhardt today?
If you shut down an enemy Widowmaker, sure, but Logix hasn't really turned up, so I think you can afford to play the Reinhardt OD, and you're doing great.
More shatters. More shatters. That's what we want to see today. Bren, we've seen some issues for Florida. What's the biggest one in your eyes?
I mentioned it in the pre-show. I don't want to keep going on about the same point over and over again, but there is a disconnect, it feels like, between a lot of the tank line and the support line across the board. And I don't know what they can do to fix this when we're so late into the season right now, because it's almost reached a point where I gotta say, you know, why should they even bother fixing it? Why not just focus towards the future now and sort of get...
Well, that's maybe what they're doing.
Maybe they are, yes, maybe they are. Maybe
yeah.
that's why we're not seeing it. But there is a clear disconnect in terms of the fundamentals of this squad in general, and it's something that I'm a bit disappointed in as well, knowing their past and their history. I mean, I was casting these guys in Overwatch Contenders in the European side of things when they were known as Misfits, you know. It makes me a bit disappointed.
Johnny, something that had me concerned is a few of your future Team Sweden teammates were having issues today. We were looking at the numbers during the commercial break, and you saw that the Mercy didn't get any reses in that second map, but most importantly, it's not just one player on the team. Several players are struggling with the fundamentals.
Yeah, so let's talk about the fundamentals a little bit. I got a telestration going. I can show you what is going wrong for the Florida Mayhem. So, looking at this squad right here, they're attacking on point B on Horizon Lunar Colony. If we look at the lineup, they have 2 tanks and 3 supports. Great characters if you want to take space on this map. And that is what they want to do, right? They want to walk onto this point and start capturing the point. So they want to take control of this side of the map. So as they walk forward here, we're going to see that the Florida Mayhem, they're going to walk up with their 3 supports and their 2 tanks and start taking some control here. The key characters in this game specifically is because we have mirror compositions from both teams, is the Widowmakers. And so we can see when Florida walks up here, they will gain some space. And they will start taking this area, this surface, and start capturing on the point. So they're up to 54%. And now it comes down to the Widowmakers to find picks. We have, of course, Logix on the side of Florida Mayhem, and we have Taimu on the side of Dallas Fuel. But what the Florida Mayhem don't do is preserve this space they've captured. So, okay, they have this area now on the point. But as we can see, Taimu is still over here uncontested on the Widowmaker, and he's going to shut down this push from the Florida Mayhem. The reaction I would like to see is Awesome Guy on the Winston, leap onto Taimu and shut him down, because that way the Dallas Fuel have no way of actually getting picks so far. But instead what we're going to see is Awesome Guy being passive and Maneten rotating to contest Taimu instead. That means that the rest of the Florida Mayhem squad is going to lose the defense matrix, and they're going to lose the shotguns for dealing with OG, who is lurking in the backline. So as we play this clip forward, we can see that Florida Mayhem, they don't preserve this space very well. We can see that Maneten is now contesting here, Taimu over here, but as I said, there's no Diva to protect the rest of the Florida Mayhem.
Right.
And so
no defense matrix.
There's no defense matrix. So OG will drop down behind them, he will kill Sebosai, and you can see that Awesome Guy isn't really doing anything when his role should be to shut down the Widowmaker. Oh. So we can just play it out. You can see for yourself, Maneten isn't protecting his team. Logix drops to OG, Sebosai drops to OG, and the push is shut down. So really, I'm just disappointed by the lack of fundamentals here. Awesome Guy should hunt the Widowmaker. He's a Winston, that's his job, after they've created space on the point, and Maneten should protect his team. But in the end, it's the reverse order. So I'm disappointed by the Florida man.
All I know is that Reinforce would not make those mistakes. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to put that out there. Get him on a team.
Would Brenji, the main tank, make these mistakes?
No, I would feed tremendously. Yeah. I would not be capable of that. But Johnny, you know, pick the boy up. You know, give him a team.
Give him a chance. Give him a chance. Come on, guys.
Hey, I know a team. I want to be on the analyst team versus the casters, and I want to win versus.
I've been told it pays very well, Johnny. Very, very well if you're from Sweden. All right, guys, that's going to do it for our halftime coverage. But before we go, we wanted to give special attention to an awesome article we saw on OverwatchLeague.com. You might have seen Mickey on his social media posting about his gains in the gym alongside Harry Hook.
It's ripped.
These guys train hard on and off the field, on and off the stage, I should say. But, Johnny, you've been in this position. How do you balance the gains alongside the gains?
That is tiring.
Yeah. Just order some fast food after this, you know, and you can justify it. You know, you have a feel-good moment. That's some great form, Mickey. Great form right there.
Wow, we're just so enamored by that video, we just can't even comment on it. That's ridiculous.
No, I love
squad
to see it.
In action. You love to see it.
We're going to commercial break. We got all kinds of awesome articles on OverwatchLeague.com, including some great ones from our teammate Sideshow here on the analyst desk. When we come back, we'll find out, will Dallas close it in 3? They're hoping for a clean 4-0 over the Mayhem when we return.
Listen up, League fans, because the Shoutcasters need your help crowning the first T-Mobile Overwatch League MVP. Let your voice be heard. Cast your vote now on Twitter with hashtag OWOMVP and your player's battle tag.
in the mix.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Overwatch League here in the Blizzard Arena.
They're here. They're here. We just walked out. We saw them.
Yeah, no, I see you guys. So, not great from the Florida Mayhem. Look,
not an ideal start for the Mayhem.
We heard about it on the desk at halftime. Like, there were a few things that were pointed out, things that Florida weren't doing really well. We're going to move here on towards a control map next as well. Do you think that some of those glaring issues with compositions they had on Assault and on Payload get fixed, or?
If you're going to play Widowmaker and just leave your Widowmaker with no support, why even play Widowmaker? You may as well just try and play Tracer then and just have them go in with everybody else. Like, it doesn't really make much sense what they're trying to do. So I'd like to see them change a little.
Do you remember that map Gibraltar last week where Sire players started playing Soldier 76?
Yeah.
On attack? So
well, I almost feel like
feeling like he wasn't able to get healing because I was so busy trying to keep everyone else alive. Seversky had one resurrect, zero resurrections. Zero resurrections on Horizon. So he was pressured. Sire players come in here for Logics. We saw the numbers, we saw the stats sort of break down between the two of them. Not huge difference, but Sire plays definitely a different kind of player, I feel.
Yeah, now AKM comes in as well, so probably going to see a lot of McCree here from both teams. Probably some Widowmaker as well as Dallas Fuel in complete control of this series. We'll see if they can close it out in their favor here, like the Desk mentioned earlier on. Very important in terms of their map win percentage, map differential for this stage. No, not as much for the overall, right? Out of the overall playoffs, but still in the hunt for the stage playoff.
It's a tough road for Dallas going forward. They've got, well, no, they got Soul.
Yeah,
and they got the Valiant.
Which the Valiant may have things locked up by then, so who exactly knows? I mean, the Valiant could end up like in a world where they end up playing the Fuel, then play the Fuel again, like a round one matchup.
That is true.
So just depends. Like, do you save some things on day one? Maybe Fuel win, then they end up in the playoffs, and then you kind of bring out the strats. But I think if they're in a position to have like a 10-0 stage, I think the Valiant go hard. That'd be pretty impressive. Pretty nice feat to complete. I also want to give a little bit of a shout out to AKM. Early on with the Fuel, obviously he took a lot of criticism for a lot of the different heroes he played. Those are not heroes he normally played. Now you're seeing him play, more of the Widowmaker, the McCree. You're starting to see why he's on this team. He can play those very high levels.
Mickey there. His bubble getting burst. And the Sire player connected with AKM. There's two for him. Unco gave him a lot of trouble at the start of the round, but now he's starting to get a little bit of breathing room. You see what he does with it. Vic resurrected here, and that's just going to shore up Florida's hold his first point. I mean, a bit unlucky. Unco got picked off early. Well, not unlucky, really. It was just Zulper's good shooting, but AKM fires back. Sire's down.
So they're going to have to back up. They have no resurrection here for Sire player as Awesome Guy gets very weak. He's going to have to back out as well, as now Dallas Fuel starting to apply some pressure. Both support ults for both teams available. Be the Valkyrie that's used first here by the Fuel.
Oh, straight away to the Transcendence here, no surprise, but Deadeye might cause some problems. It was AKM using his. Cancelled that one pretty early on by the looks of things, but they managed to deal with Sire player with that Riptire. He's been brought back to fix very low on that left-hand side. He's in deep trouble. AKM finishes him off. He's airborne. What Sire player's Deadeye got? Probably just creating a little bit of space here. He has zoning ultimate, haha. It is a thing. Graviton Surge though now. Manaton quite healthy, but Mickey's going to run into this one as well. Try and do as much damage as he possibly can. Mickey just throws himself in there. Does get the extra follow-up though.
So a lot of ultimates used from both teams. The Dallas Fuel though will take the point. They're going to build up to another grab here. Is Mickey with the average energy of 67%. Manaton right there at 68. Both Zaryas doing a nice job keeping that average energy up high. But yeah, I know the Mayhem with the first ones, they use their grab, they use Tire, they use both support ults. They were not able to just really get a dominant fight win, which allows Dallas Fuel to just hang around for a while. Able to take the point, and now Seagull with another Tire here.
The trick is on maps like this is to squeeze optimal value out of an ultimate, or ideally win fights without having to use one. That's not what we call high value Riptire, but you know, it's a transaction. You buy some percentage. 35 to 57 right now. The Florida Mayhem are starting to set up, but they lost to Vic here, and it seems as if that's not really something they're going to be able to bring back. Earthshatter from the side, it's at least 3 there. It was 3.
But you don't have your Junkrat alive, so there's not any follow-up there. Saya player's all on the outside. He's not able to get any shots there, so you use Shatter. You don't really have anything to follow it up. Now you've lost your Zarya. Now the pressure's going to come in for the Dallas Fuel again, and the advantage you had with having this Riptire is going to be gone because Seagull's going to earn himself another one in this time span.
I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Florida Mayhem looked vastly worse than they did yesterday. I think they managed to really come back, and we saw a lot of those better individual plays here. They look scattered, messy. It's not great gameplay from them right now. 73 to 57. They need an answer, and they need it now. Graviton, oh, that one does connect here, but it's the awesome guy. Gonna get charged down, stunned up. OGE forced the shield up and back away a little bit more. Again, a Graviton that doesn't amount to too much. Manatin didn't have the follow-up. That's 2 grabs that, well, don't really get much for him. With Vic being down now, it could be deep trouble here for Florida.
Yeah, they try and combo the grab with the Riptire, and Vic's Riptire gets taken out by Seagull as it's coming towards the Graviton Surge. It's gonna be a grab there for Vicky at the end. That'll be round 1. Goes over to the Dallas Fuel.
Mickey is so aggressive on Zaya. He is in there.
Which, we didn't really talk about Mickey Zarya early on because it was really all about his diva play. We didn't really consider him a Zarya player. It's interesting when you go back to like beginning of the season, or talking about this team when they did play Zarya, we figured Seagull would be subbed in or Effect would play Zarya.
Well, it was actually World Cup, I'm going to say World Cup 2016.
Yeah.
Where we saw him actually show off a little bit of that Zarya play. That's where we started to, we were introduced to the guy we all know and love today on Team Thailand.
It's great about the World Cup. You find so much talent all over the world. They get to showcase it, the big stage.
Yep. And that's why I'm excited about this year, but that's another story for another day.
Round 2.
Right, Florida. Something's got to give here. They've got Sire player on that Widowmaker now. Again, a kind of composition Florida are running where if you take the point first, you have a great advantage. You're going to be in control. The Widowmaker and Pharah make it hard to approach the point without taking oodles of damage. Yes, that's a scientific term. But if they don't take the point, man, they're going to get shut out by AKM and Seagull. That's a good first pick, though.
They have to do a nice job protecting Saya player. They can't let what happened to Logix happen to him, as Tivik will take AKM out right after he gets res. So no Widowmaker here for the Dallas Fuel. Seagull gets low as well. He's going to have to back up as the Dallas Fuel will have 1 player on the point.
Yeah,
the Florida Mayhem does have the player advantage here, though, as OG getting very low. He will be able to stay alive. Harry with some great Mercy play.
Look at Harry. He's already used his Valkyrie in the first fight here. That's just how much damage Dallas have been taking. But Harry has been healing a heck of a lot of it. Now AKM fires up. Sire player is down. And you got to think that the Fuel are in control of this situation. Twick off to the side. Might get AKM, but it's not going to mean a heck of a lot in the grand scheme. He's brought back to life. And now we can see this Widowmaker Pharah composition hit a new gear. This is what happens when you have control of the point. Now, it could be completely wrong, Matt, but it's definitely hard to play into this.
I mean, Harry Hook is getting that Valkyrie about 20 seconds faster than Zebosai, so you can see a lot of the healing done from Harry.
That's really nice.
So OG started to move to the point. They just pocket him, right? That helps him get the rest of that Mercy ultimate jump right on AKM.
He was right in the way. AKM just got vaporized instantly. I'm surprised he wasn't playing a little bit further back. Regardless, Dallas Fuel come forward now. Unco with the Transcendence. I think they're attempting to get a Resurrect. No, maybe not the case.
I don't even think you need to. I mean, they use their Transcendence, did the Florida Mayhem to try and go in and push that. Then they don't have anything else. I know not a lot of follow-up after they get that pick on AKM. They don't even decide to res him, and you get nothing out of that fight.
This is not the first time we've seen Unco actually just see a Transcendence and wait a few seconds, like 3 seconds, and then pop his own one. Then he knows that Dallas have a window, after the fight where they can actually get some kills where there isn't, enemy healing, or enemy Transcendence isn't in play. AKM with that infra sight now. Sire play doesn't have his, so this is where you see maybe the pace just slow a little bit here for the Mayhem. They don't take any big risks, they don't go for any big flanks. They will jump on AKM again. Nobody uses the grappling hook to get out straight away, but he dives still to Manatin self-destruct.
It will get rezzed up, though. It's OG just backing out, trying to stay on the point. Seagull does hit this barrage. He gets the Mercy, though. That's a big pick, as you still have your Mercy alive. It's Harry Hook using Valkyrie, getting inside of the point.
Gets the kill onto Vic as well. Don't mind if I do. It looks like the Florida Mayhem will have control in this fight, but 90% to 0.
It's basically a one-fight game here for the Dallas Fuel. And it puts the Florida Mayhem in such a tough position because you can't hold on to some of these ultimates because you don't know if it's the last fight or not. So if you jump on to Zupe, probably has to use the Transcendence. You can come back with a Transcendence of your own. But how fast Harry Hook's been getting these Valkyries compared to Zevo, you kind of trust that you'll have Valkyrie first again. So you can put yourself in a good ultimate advantage. Let's see how Dallas tries to approach this. Is it just a fight where you want to get ultimates out? Or is it a fight where you really believe you can take it?
Ooh,
they're going to use Transcendence, their own, to just kind of get across the point.
Okay, they get under the point at the very least. Zupe can use his second now, and that seems to help a lot. Unco is taken down by Sire player. Madison, yeah, just waiting for a chance to go in and find a kill in there. I think he's going to be in a little bit of trouble there, desuited. Self-destruct here from Madison, but OG! Oh, gee! What is going on? Super down, Zephyrstar's also been removed. This guy's going absolutely tropical. I can't believe it. He's gonna jump out and get himself that mega. Now, Dallas may not be able to win this fight at this point. OG over the edge.
He gets Saya and both supports during that. That's unreal.
Let's see how this goes down. So he's waiting up, being very patient. Now, we're second to the fight. Saya player just getting jumped upon. Okay, yeah. Not coming back from that one. Oh man, he's had such a good game so far. Anyway, now the fight's starting because it's the Dallas Fuel. Don't expect any less. OG straight in the mix there with Mickey. Dallas contesting with 3 on the point currently. AKM that gets jumped on by Vic in the backline, but it's the trade. Awesome guys down. I feel like the Fuel come out on top in that little swap. But then Harry Hook drops the Zupe. Seagull needs to make a big difference here, but he has to go back and get that mega first. OG just has to eject. They're going to have to try again, but they don't have much time, man. In the meantime, Florida have made a lot of ground back, and they're at 95%.
Now they're going to heal up OG. They're going to try and send him in. He's got to contest. You're going to have Valkyrie. The rocket barrage there. Oh, a second too late. Not able to get on the point.
Florida Mayhem bring it back, and credit to them in that round. We definitely saw some excellent individual moments. Vic on the Farah. Outshining Seagull, I would have to say, in general. Yeah. AKM very heavily pressured, especially by Awesome Guy. You saw him quite frequently being jumped on here by the main tanks of Florida Mayhem. And this is kind of good to see, right? When Florida can get aggressive and dive and not have their backline decimated as a result of that.
I thought you saw AKM not really come out on top in too many of those Widowmaker battles. I thought that was a big difference in that point. It allows, obviously, Vic to stay up in the sky much longer. Have a much easier time than Seagull did, as you're going to have to see AKM come alive here. The Dallas Fuel are going to take this map.
Right, out of the gates here again. Compositions, the same as what we'd seen earlier. OG straight over the fence already, and again, the Winstons will be butting heads early. Unco wants to watch out for Vic here, gets a little bit aggressive, but Dallas lose OG. Both Winstons getting traded here. Trying to juggle Seagull a little bit. He's been the more aggressive, the more proactive Farah by the looks of things so far. It's worked really well.
So they did get Harry as he was trying to go on to OG to get a res. To Vic landing rockets from behind. Mickey was trying to like defense matrix him, just not able to do so. And Saya player with a pick early on that allow the Mayhem to control the point. If you're Dallas, how long do you stay on this? When do you decide to switch and just admit that this composition is just not working right now?
Not yet by the looks of things. 12% to 0, and Dallas Fuel now starting up in another fight. AKM is actually being harassed by Zupe, but Zupe's playing all the way across the map here. He's a little bit split from the rest of his team, but he's not punished for it at all. Vic, in the meantime, is making it very costly for Dallas to get in the front door. And OG now could be in deep trouble. Takes a lot of damage. Vic down to 70. It's a little bit of splash out, but Seagull's been taken down by Zevisai now, who's getting involved. The Mercy's doing work here, but AKM goes deep to find the Farah picking against it. Unco on the point. Madison removed. And Zupe and Sire player aren't in a position to contest right now. They've played outside. Dallas back in control, 2% to 39.
That's huge. They don't have to use any of their ultimates to take that. So Zevo did use his Valkyrie early on. We can take a look at AKM, just making his own life a little bit easier here in Widowmaker, taking some nice angles.
That's a beautiful flick on Awesome Guy. He trapped him so lovely. That's a lip schmacker, that is. As Zupe a little bit of early poke here, which really won't account for too much here. Unco, where was Sireplay to find that pick? He's on the left side, he had infra side, that explains it. How do you make up for this? Seagull's probably a little bit nervous right now because, again, you've got a Widowmaker on the other side. You can see through those walls. Timely barrage from Seagull there really relieves the pressure on Mickey. And Dallas are happy with this. Don't only really have to use that ultimate. OG does use Primal Rage here, which may or may not have been necessary. Zemsai.
And they use Valkyrie as well.
Okay, they dig for those.
But I mean, Harry, the way he's been charging this Valkyrie compared to Zebo, I mean, look, he just uses it. He's up at what? 29, 30%. He's going to pass Zebo again in terms of... Look at this. He's already up to where Zebo is.
He's a little over a minute per Valkyrie. Zebo's about a minute and a half. So you can see it's a considerable difference. Tvick down early. That's the danger of playing into a Widowmaker as a Pharaoh when you do not control the point. But Sireplayer does well to sort of stand his ground. Zemsai tries to go for what looked like an airborne resurrect. Seagull trying to get the knock away with the concussive blast. Gives him just enough difference between him and Maniton to get him out free. And Awesome Guy has to leave. He either dies here or goes back and gets healed and gives his support some percent. Turns out it's the former case that ends up happening. 81% to 39 on Florida. Now's the time for the Mayhem to try and take control.
And Harry's got that Valkyrie again. Zebo's only going to be at 63%, so you're going to have another Valkyrie here for the Dallas Fuel, and you'll have Transcendence this later portion of the game.
The whole series rests on this fight, Matt, and that's a good opening for Sireplay. There might be a Resurrect there to bring AKM back, but Mickey realizes he doesn't want to push into the Transcendence of the Mayhem, so they give up the point. They allow Florida to take it because they had to use an ultimate to do so. OG now needs to be careful. He just got about 650 health stripped from him in a matter of seconds, but it gets Zupe as a result. Knocked him off the map. Now, there wasn't any Transcendence available for Florida after that. They still wanted Zupe in the fight for the damage, the discords, and the harmonies. Maniton blocks most of the barrage, and now he's trying to deal with Seagull, but the pocket has been good. Seagull, can he get out the window? He does. He's home free. AKM found Maniton after he desuited, and the Dallas Fuel are back in control now. Sireplayer on the Tracer. He's trying to keep the series alive. The Florida Mayhem just trying to dig their heels in, but it's going to be tough. There's going to be a Valkyrie from Zavasai as well. A bit of extra healing now for the Mayhem, but they have to throw themselves in. They don't have the time to sort of pace themselves in this fight. AKM, a second for him. Zebasai is down. Sireplay is off to the right-hand side, but Maniton getting desuited, and Seagull has so much room to breathe right now. Florida, all they can do is just try and stay in the game, and Tvick's barrage gets nullified almost entirely. Now Sireplay can only hop, skip, and jump away from the point, and that will be overtime. That will be the series. The Dallas Fuel will go to 3-0, and that will give them the series win even before we get to our final map.
Another strong map from Unco in the flex support role. 8 final blows here on Zenyatta compared to Zupe's 4. Doubles them up there. The Florida Mayhem supports combined for 20 deaths as well. That's huge.
It's brutal. To be honest, everyone had at least 10 deaths on the Florida Mayhem, though. Let's be honest. We're going to head to a break, ladies and gentlemen. When we return, it'll be map 4, the final for the Florida Mayhem and the Dallas Fuel. We'll see you then.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone. Wow.
First, they're sour. Then they're sweet.
Oh, thanks, guys.
New Sour Patch Kids Fire and Freeze. Sour, sweet, gone.
What's up, everybody? Malik here for Access Granted. I'm getting ready to pick up AKM and Unco from the Dallas Fuel to see how LA Life has been treating them. Is it this hot in France?
Actually, it's kind of like California, so it's like similar.
Yeah, but you know, deep down inside, you guys really like LA better than France. But come on, man, like the food here is great.
No.
I was like, nah, no chance.
And that was a sneak peek at Access Granted. New episodes are coming out every Monday over at overwatchleague.com, so make sure to check it out to get that sweet insight into the league. Speaking of which, at the end of halftime, I got to talk to the Dallas Fuel about their team's current performance and their upcoming matches and the playoff chances, stage playoff chances rather, for them. Now, they said that the upcoming matches against Seoul Dynasty as well as Valiant are very winnable if they manage to actually translate what they're doing in their scrims on this very stage. But if the guys manage to do so and perform the same way they do during scrims, it should be absolutely doable. Now, I like the confidence we're seeing mostly because at the beginning of this stage, this team went through a complete restructuring, right? They were rebuilding the team internally and there were a lot of changes happening for each individual player and also in their coaching staff. They were more focused on themselves and also just kind of worked on their fundamentals again and get that team synergy up. So now, however, their coaches told me that they're finally reaching the point where they can go beyond that. And that means that they can now tweak their own game plan and their own style to actually be tailored to their opponents. And that means that Seoul Dynasty and the Valiant next week are gonna be in for a treat. But first things first, they want to get that clean sweep against the Florida Mayhem. Let's see if they can make it work on map number 4.
Thank you, Zoe. Interesting to hear a little bit about what's being sort of said, you know, in terms of the outlook for the Dallas Fuel. Aero also said in an interview that they could beat the New York Excelsior, and they were quite beatable. So, I mean, there's a lot of confidence, clearly burgeoning confidence on this particular roster.
But that's if you're the new coach and they're kind of down to the dumps, you need to come in, you need to get everybody on the same page. You need to instill that confidence back, right?
Well, I mean, look,
you got to build them up from scratch.
This could be the first stage for the Dallas Fuel where they go 500 or better.
It's been a great job for them.
So,
Arrow's been a great job with the team.
Yes.
Asmo as well, you know.
In my opinion, this would be a stage where they have achieved the bare minimum that they wanted to get in any one stage. So the shame it has to happen for them towards the end, but you know, we get around improving here. We enjoy that kind of stuff. I know it was tough for to see Dallas struggle so much after having left the legacy prior, but the Overwatch League isn't like, you know,
well,
the Overwatch tournaments.
I think with the expectations they had coming into the season and the big personalities they had on this roster, that the losing at the beginning was just like amplified even more, right? I mean, there were a lot of other teams that were losing just as bad
I
at
think the expectations definitely
the expectations. I mean, coming into the Overwatch League, well, it's actually quite funny. It's like you said, we were even talking about it before the league started. We were like, oh man, like we know 5 of our 6 overall playoff teams, right? Like New York, London, Seoul, Dallas. Like so then now it's like, what?
I'm glad I wasn't the only one who did this, but I had Dallas Fuel third top team in the Overwatch League. That's super wrong. But I was also wrong about Boston, so that's okay. I think a lot of people were. The game has changed. The landscape also very, very different. But now we turn our eyes to the final match of this series. We won't be seeing a 5th map either way because Dallas have already clinched the win in this series and we'll be going 5-3. Woohoo! But the Florida Mayhem definitely have some ground to be making up here. It looks like it might be a rough stage for them now with just the one victory against the Dragons, which was hard fought. But on the defense here, Dallas Fuel, standard composition. They're going to have that anti-dive. And the Mayhem, I don't think we've seen an Aussie guy play Orisa at all this series.
No. Actually, no. Did he play it on Horizon? I think he may have played it on Horizon at the beginning. But we'll see it on offense here. Is play the Orisa Roadhog on offense. The double sniper setup. Yeah, he did play it on Horizon.
Yes.
They did play it at
he didn't play it on Blizzard
World. Yeah.
Right, Tvik is going hunting. He sees the... there you go, Kevin. Yep. 3rd time's the charm. He finds a Venom Mine. So that's already an early warning system, right? AKM knows he's going to be back behind. He also gets the trap. So he's killing a lot of inanimate objects right now, but not a lot of people! AKM set up to receive, and Tvik, 2 body shots was enough to get the job done. I guess Tvik's trying to pave the way for himself, but he's also giving away his position shooting those traps. They use, I think the dev term for it is pets, right? Like things you put down. So you know, you kind of raise the alarm enough, and then it's no surprise you get picked off.
It's, with how one-sided this series has been, the Florida Mayhem's last win against a team that wasn't the Dragons was the Dallas Fuel back in Stage 3, Week 4. So you can see the improvement for the Dallas Fuel from then until now.
Night and day stuff.
Yeah. It's,
again, how much of that finger do you point at Florida for maybe being weaker in this meta?
I think it's like a combination, right? One team getting much better, the other team getting probably worse. Tvik yet again gets picked off here by AKM.
So this Hanzo, Matt, not really getting much done for Florida quite yet. Tvik's close to a Dragon Strike. Now, this would mean a bit more for him if Florida were running like Manitou on a Zarya, for example, but they're not. So ideally, the Dragon Strike forces a change of positioning from the... Zarya player can't catch a break. And AKM, we talk about Timer's confidence, by the way. AKM's found his as well, and he's starting...
Well, now he can play the heroes he's good at. I mean, he's not out here trying to play Genji or Tracer. It's there, Riptire comes out from Seagull, knows everybody's here. You gotta be able to... It's just jumping on through 3 players there.
He got the Mercy as well. The one pick you really would have wanted. You either get 2 people or a Mercy. Both of them are kind of equivalent in terms of their value. Obviously, his Mercy just reses. Mickey.
All right, Mickey, come on. Right now, AKM with 3 final blows. The double sniper setup for the Florida Mayhem has come up with nothing. Goose egg on that side in terms of final blows.
Big fan. 0! This is very disappointing for the Mayhem. They must find something. They've got the talent on this roster. Sire player looking for a pick. Tvik, there we go. Dragon Strike finds Seagull. It was always going to happen. There was always a chance. So now Mickey being desuited makes things a little bit tougher now. The Transcendence, without any D.Va make, means that Madison actually can get value out of this whole hog. And with Tvik fighting Seagull now, it should be opened up for the Mayhem. Getting in behind the OG shield. Using Fortify to make it pretty hard to break. He's definitely tricky to get around Orisa sometimes, but OG gets hooked in or removed, and that's AKM losing out now to Sire player.
Yeah, Tvik gets 4 final blows during that fight. I know Sire player with another. You had Zupe come up with 1, and I believe Manitin the other. You're finally able to break the setup here. So we can take a look from Tvik's POV. Comes around the corner. Seagull tries to push him as well. It's a nice shot there.
Oh no.
Onto the mini D.Va. Seagull comes through. Scatter arrow.
Pepperidge Farm, remember Scatter arrow. Obviously, that's a great way of bursting down those tanks very quickly. Not available on live right now, but it is still in the Overwatch League. And that discussion's been done to death. So Tvik will set up now. It does have that Dragon Strike. Again, if you can get 1 kill with it, it's definitely a higher value use of that ultimate here. Work with Sire player, who now seems to be waking up a little bit more as I curse him immediately. AKM doing damage, and there it is. It's the Total Mayhem from Seagull. He must have died. Did he die in midair, Seagull, and perhaps that fell onto Tvik?
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, it just kind of lumped on down. I know you mentioned that the side player starting to come alive. I mean, it was scoped accuracy right now, sitting at 38% compared to AKM 61. Then that'll be another final blow for AKM onto side player. He'll get rezzed.
I like this little stat here. This is actually the first time that Dallas have properly used the Orisa setup on this map, and they almost full-held the Mayhem. How interesting.
Well, look, I mean, if they want to try some new stuff out for next week with 2 very tough matches, this is a series you can definitely do it. Final map.
2 HP on the tire, and he still gets 2! How do you let this happen? Sire player got 1 shot onto it, did 98 damage, and then Seagull punishes him by getting a Mercy and a Widowmaker for his trouble. Tvik down to AKM, so all that happens here...
AKM's crushing.
Yeah, Dallas just set up on the high ground now. The payload didn't move much at all. It's still here.
OG uses Primal Rage because he thinks it's actually going to be close with them, like having to jump on the payload and defend it, but AKM just able to pick off everybody.
I have not seen this level from AKM in quite some time. He has 60% scoped accuracy with 20% critical hit accuracy. This guy is pounding.
I mean, when you have a player as talented as him, you put him in a position to succeed where you know he can succeed. Expect to see good things. Tvik gets nothing with that blade. Gets stunned up and then taken out by Unko, but Saya player with 3 quick kills. Trying to swing this in Florida's favor.
I mean, that's a risk, right? Well played by Florida. Using the fact that there's just so much dive and just distraction that actually gave a lot of space to Sire player to find the shots. Mickey on towards the Brigitte now is reasonable, but you still have to contend with the Widowmaker who will threaten you. I mean, this is lovely.
We've seen the payload stop and move depending on which team's Widowmakers have come out with the big picks there. Saya player needs 3 to get the payload advancing here for the Mayhem. It'll be Valkyrie used by both teams here, trying to keep everybody topped up on the point. Zupe getting close to this Transcendence. They use Trance. They need to actually win that fight. Oh, Unco falls. You'll think this will get rezzed up, though.
I don't think Harry Hook's feeling comfortable doing that right now. He can res in mid-air because he's using Valkyrie. And you can see the same thing is actually done by Zevasai there. Saya player found AKM. Widow battle now won again, out by the Mayhem. Mickey's trying not to get wedged in here, but he's actually pretty safe for the most part. He can be healed. Harry Hook just needs that line of sight, and Mickey's just being able to really hold down the fort. Unco now moves in. He finally got that Transcendence. Now you get a little bit more aggressive into the Dallas field, but AKM hasn't been present. He now only just now returns to the fight. He needs to get some shots just to announce his presence, but OG finds Manatee. You can see how low Awesome Guy is. He's up in the sky, getting a lot of healing from both supports, and still getting crunched. Mickey's in there. And AKM, he has the room now.
The absolute MVP of that last fight is Seagull. If you go back and watch how Seagull played that, he would be on the cart because Harry Hook and the supports don't want to poke out because Saya player is sitting up on the high ground. Every time Seagull would go up, push Saya player out, put some damage on him, force him down to the health pack, then force him back up. Then Seagull would jump back down onto the point, help Mickey, who's playing Brigitte, to just stay alive on the cart, and then they would be able to use some healing resources on the Seagull, get him top back up. Then he would go back as soon as Saya player was out to go push him out. That is such great diva play there from Seagull, man.
Seagull for the round 5 deaths, 6 final blows, and a very impressive chunk of damage towards his team's overall contribution. What we like about him lately, Matt, is less about the playmaking, but just the cerebral approach he has to the game. And that's always sort of been his style. He's always been very good at creatively approaching a situation. Right there, he just managed to spread his influence across the entire fight.
I think you see with him, he plays so many different heroes at a very high level. And it's a lot about game sense. He has really good awareness, and really good decision making, like knows when to make certain plays and whatnot. And more times than not, always makes the right play. I feel like he's a player you can definitely see who helps make the team better, right? Puts himself in a position to help enable others and make their jobs easier. I think he's a very good player overall.
And now for the Florida Mayhem, they are, well, they're already faced with the prospect of another disappointing loss. Coming off, I have to say, a pretty big win against Shanghai. I know it's sort of crazy to say that, but they were pushed to the very limit. But maybe that was a telling sign already. Dallas Fuel haven't really been pushed that far over the course of this match, although I will say that Lijiang Tao was a decent contest. They didn't even get to the second checkpoint on this map, which is pretty rough. The Dallas Fuel held them at that first choke for so long. But let's see now, Florida are actually going to play this Junkrat, this Orisa composition, something that we obviously saw a little bit of on Horizon, as she pointed out. Something we didn't see on Blizzard World.
And I mean, look, the Florida Mayhem, right now, what, 1-6? And they're 7
yeah,
games. This will be their 8th. Yeah, no. But for the stage, I mean, they're coming into the match at a -18 map differential. They lose this 4-0. I mean, they're like not that much better than Shanghai. What, 2 maps better than Shanghai overall? And that it's really just that match that separates these two teams. It's only decided by 1 point on the final map. Like, for as much as we kind of go on about Shanghai not having a win. It's like you kind of look at it, it's like, well, the Mayhem are kind of like almost in the same boat, right? I mean, the only win they have is against Shanghai, and the map differential is not much better.
Seagull a little bit miffed there. His Sonic Arrow was eaten up by Manatin, so he pays it back to him with interest. Gives him a big scatter arrow, and Zevasai is down. You've really lost your mercy now after the Florida Mayhem. This fight may already be over just on virtue of that itself. Mickey gets Awesome Guy, and yeah, it's done. Pack it up, and the payload's going to be sailing very quickly towards the end. Now, there is a chance for Florida to come back in and fight this one again. Vic's done a good job of just backing up a little bit here and maybe waiting for reinforcements, but it's wishful thinking, Matt. And they're not going to come back for another fight. Dallas Fuel hardly breaking a sweat there. It's all about your boy Seagull.
And he has this Dragon Strike. You can use that like through the floor up to the high ground to be able to clear some players out. As
Mickey, what are you doing?
Mickey is just spamming that voice line.
I wonder what it sounds like in the arena. Oh dear.
What is?
And you know what? It's Mickey, so no one's going to come.
What is the mindset of his teammates there? They're getting in here.
I think they've given up at this point, trying to get him to stop that.
It's like the universal sign of victory is just spamming Diva.
Mickey says...
You can still hear it from Seagull's here.
Mickey's like, look, you put me back on Diva, I'm going to get mine.
Yeah, he's like, I miss Diva.
I want to play... No, he wants to play Brigitte, mate. That's all he wants to do. Seagull now, again, a backseat to most of this action, sort of being a fly on the wall and not getting too close as Hanzo's off and, oh, OG. He gets away from the blast there, nicely done. Of course, low cooldown on that, on the rocket pack. And now he's back in the fray once more, but the Transcendence have made this tough.
He's displaced so many players, though. Saya player and Tvik get pushed over towards the front. That opens up the back bridge for AKM. He's able to get a pick onto Saya player. Saya does get res.
Oh, he forces Primal. Very clever. He would have had 2 tanks for the price of 1 there. As it were, he already got Manitin out of his mech, but Saya player now starting to kick off. There's 2 kind of Winston players, right? Or 2 kind of Primal Rages, right? One that's about displacement and disruption, the other one that's about trying to get kills. And we see OG with the former there, looking very good.
An awesome guy just dives in there, right into... Okay, so there's 4 players alive for the Dallas Fuel. An awesome guy just jumps in and goes right after them, and then they get taken out. And then that allows a fight which should have been a clean win for the Mayhem. Now they have to all back out.
And you see what OG did there? He walked up to Tvik. He didn't jump at him. Because then Tvik uses his Swift Strike to try and get away. And OG, well, guess what? His jump is on off cooldown as well. He can just follow it up and get that kill. Tvik knew he was dead as soon as the Winston walked up to him. That's how the interaction goes. There's not much to save him. Mickey, quick repair pack, dispatched towards Seagull. Now with a charge in, Mickey gets the play, but he gets it now, and he's enjoying it. This is done. I've got to be honest with you. Manitin stunned up, knocked away from the payload, desuited in the self-destruct. This will be, there was LOS this and end it all here. Merciful, quick ending for the Florida Mayhem with the Dallas Fuel. They're looking very, very good. Give me Fuel, give me Fire, give me Seagull, High Flyer. Beautiful series from them.
So that is one where the Mayhem could have been able to hold that a little bit longer on defense. Some positional errors there coming out from Awesome Guy. But still, the Dallas Fuel looking very strong yet again, putting on great performances for their fans all stage 4 long. AKM, tremendous 14 final blows, comes alive on the Widowmaker. Not much bad to say about the Dallas Fuel coming out of this match, Mitch. They were great.
Yeah. A lot of smiles out in the audience there as the Dallas Fuel join them now. We're going to head to the desk, ladies and gentlemen, to break this one down. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you later.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel. Intel Core i7 powers the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, guys. Here, this is Mickey, and we with the famous people. Zoe, how do you feel about being host today?
I'm feeling great, Mickey. Thank you so much for talking to me down here on the floor.
Oh, thank you. I give you a microphone then.
Well, you did great. Didn't he do great? If you ever quit being a pro player, you definitely have a spot here in the talent area. Now, Mickey, let's talk about the game we just watched. 4-0. Your coach told me that you're in a very good spot right now. And looking ahead at Seoul Dynasty as well as Valiant, 2 matches you need to win in order to make it to the stage playoffs. He said it's very winnable. Do you agree?
I agree. What coach say is really true. Like, I believe in my team, I believe in my coach, and I think we're gonna do great as a team.
As a team, loving it. Now, Mickey, during halftime, we saw a video of you and Harry Hook in a gym, sweating it out. Yeah, we actually showed that video, that's correct. No, you don't have to explain it. We loved it. Everyone loved it. You don't have to make defenses. But do you think those gym gains translate to stage gains?
What's that?
Do you play better after working out?
I think it's not just about playing better, but it's like life. You don't want to stay in front of the computer for 12 hours every day and not moving your body at all. So that's why we kind of have to do something.
All right, and it looked great, by the way. It absolutely looked fun. Yeah, of course, Mickey.
I really appreciate it because it came from you.
Aren't you the sweetest? Well, we're gonna chat some more, Mickey, but for now we're gonna head over to our desk with Puckett and the boys.
I don't know how you can not be smiling anytime you're watching Mickey. This guy is hilarious. Great job once again by the Dallas Fuel. We mentioned they needed a 4-0 today to really stay in the playoff running. That's exactly what they got. So let's take a look at how we got here, going back to game number 3. Because if you're looking at the numbers, this is arguably the closest one we saw in the series, Bren.
Absolutely was, yeah. We saw Sire player being moved back in as well for this map. And arguably, this is one of the biggest reasons why this map was a lot closer between these two squads. And Control, traditionally a game mode where you start to see a lot of that individual play really paying off for them, you know. I won't say strategy doesn't matter as much, but you can definitely see that these star players can have much more of an impact when it comes to Control, just because they can single-handedly carry the game in some instances. But Florida and Mayhem, they kind of stepped up a little bit, and I thought, is this where they start to turn it around? Is this where they start to really improve the match? But fortunately not. Dallas did manage to bring it back in the air.
Johnny, I want to ask a question from a fan that's been bringing in the awesome sign. She wants to know, did OGE have a monster performance against Florida, or do you feel like he just had easier competition? They weren't focusing him down.
No, it did have a monster game, and I think you can see it on Lijiang Tower specifically, the way he controlled space and shut down Saya player on the Widowmaker. As I talked about in the halftime break, I think a Winston's job should be acquiring space and then shut down the enemy Widowmaker. I think OG did a fantastic job, especially on Lijiang Tower, at actually denying Florida Mayhem.
Well, do you know what's interesting about this as well, Johnny, though, is because we were covering Dallas as well the other day, and we came up onto the topic of OGE, and I was impressed with him. You were impressed with him in certain moments. Would you say that he's definitely improved now coming into this match?
Well, yeah, I think his Winston play specifically is a lot better on certain maps. I think when it comes down to these kind of payload maps like Escort and Hybrid, it's a lot harder because of the level design. But when you go onto assault maps like Hanamura, or when you go onto control maps like Lijiang, I think it's a lot easier for Winston players in general to control the space. So it's these kind of maps I'm really questioning OG, and you know, he has to improve moving forward to not overextend too often. So I'm looking out for him on, for example, Dorado. It worked out great this time, but when you go up against New York, you can get heavily punished if you do one single misstep.
Brandon, we saw Dallas Fuel fielding AKM towards the end of this series. Do you want to see the Frenchman in the lineup more often on the Widowmaker?
I love the man personally, Puckett, I really do. His Widowmaker, he claims to be good at Widowmaker. I like to annoy him by saying I could beat him in a Widowmaker 1v1. I don't know how true that is.
Not true.
Possibly, we haven't actually had the match yet. It could be true. We don't know it yet.
It's not true.
It might be. Fuck it. Please don't crush my dreams this easily, mate. I could be up on that stage. You can just stop putting me down.
Johnny, you're supposed to back me up. Sideshow right there.
No,
right there. All right. Well, we saw Dorado as that last map. AKM was playing Widowmaker, but on the other side, we had Tavik running a Hanzo for the Florida Mayhem, and there was a specific moment that kind of threw me off guard. Johnny, he was shooting traps, which in theory is giving away his position on the map. Why would you do this?
Well, this was 900 IQ, I'm telling you, okay? And I got a telestration. Like, what is the most iconic duo, you know? Name a more iconic duo than Reinforce and Florida Mayhem Telestrations right now. Because it's happening again, okay? So we got Twick here at the start of the Dorado, and he's climbing up here, and he's going to shoot the traps and give away his position. So why does he do this? He tried.
Third time, got it.
I mean, there's a reason they're 11th on the overall report.
Whoa!
So he's going to kill these traps, and we're going to see what actually happens when he does so. So he's taking out these traps, and how does this affect the performance? We can see that the Dallas Fuel right now, they're setting up around this corner, and they're trying to control this area of the map. But when Twick is over here, hiding behind the nameplates, he's going to shoot these traps. This is going to force out a rotation from the Dallas Fuel, because they're alerted by this. And so they're going to move back and actually try to hunt him down. You can see on your screen how the Dallas Fuel go back. They go back into the house. And meanwhile, you can see AKM as well. He's going to grappling hook away. So you can see that the Dallas Fuel, they moved back when Twick shot these traps. What I want to see Florida Mayhem do is actually capitalize on this. They're so far back right now.
And with
the, yeah, exactly. Saya play over here. You can just move in here. And what a sick widow angle you have from here, and you can just shoot into the house. Worst case scenario, you're going to get Mickey to contest you, but that just means that the rest of the squad of Florida can just move up even further. So this is free real estate, and Florida Mayhem isn't capitalizing off this. Sure. So I'm very disappointed to see this, because Twick, in my opinion, he did a 900 IQ player. The worst part about this is that Twick is going to die. You can't do this, because now there's no threat on the other side of your team, right? You want to create as many angles as possible, and Twick dying, I mean, that just means that Dallas Fuel, they can just go back and focus the rest of the team. So I'm a bit disappointed Twick died there, but overall, I think it's a really smart play to force Dallas Fuel back, and as an offensive team, you get more space as such.
For me, just being an outsider, I don't know what it's like with the comms for the Florida Mayhem, but it seems like a communication issue. If you're going to make such a smart play, and you're going to say, I've got their attention, you got to call it out to the rest of the team.
And also push your teammates as well. I can imagine Twick saying, like, push forward, right? Because I have their attention. Then as Florida Mayhem, they need to trust Twick in that call. You need to trust your teammates. And maybe that isn't there after what's happened this season.
Florida Mayhem having another tough match this week, but Dallas Fuel will keep themselves in the stage 4 running for the playoffs. And today, it's big part of it is due to the performance we saw from our player of the match sponsored by Omen by HP. Johnny's on the desk, so guess what it is? It's a main tank, OGE!
I was going to choose Johnny as my Omen by HP player of the match, but unfortunately it was not the case. OGE will have to do, and he did have a great performance. And I felt like, in general, our biggest criticism of him before, in his previous matches, has always been that he doesn't know when to play a bit more reserved, a bit more passive. Today, you can definitely tell he was toning it back a little bit. And this guy is very mechanically skilled. He's one of the more mechanically skilled tanks in the league, and that's that's quite a statement. To be honest, making plays like this, that can single-handedly win you games in some situations.
Yeah, it's also what I always say on the desk. I really love watching this guy because his mechanical skill is there and he's really aggressive. He just needs to tone it down a bit, but he'll gain experience and he's looking better every game, honestly. So maybe if Dallas Fuel go to the stage playoff, this guy will be one of the star players on the Dallas Fuel squad, in my opinion.
Congratulations, Dallas fans. The Fuel will get another win tonight, but coming up next, when we come back, we got the biggest battle of the evening. 2 teams fighting for their spot in the season playoffs. We got Philadelphia Fusion facing off against the Seoul Dynasty when we return.